feel about being the only plus size model?
All my life, I've been feeling like a big girl. Even when I'm not a big girl, I feel like a big girl. Like sometimes I just feel so fee fi fo.
So have you noticed that no matter what size you are, you always feel like you are too big or too small? For example, you take a picture with some of your friends and they are smaller than you. You are still pretty small in size, but you feel like you're the giant in the group. You go to a store to get a dress or to get pants and you get a size medium, right? Because you're probably medium in size and it fits perfectly. But you go to another store to get something else in the same size and then you discover that the pants or the dress is literally too small. You're just like in a mental, emotional roller coaster. You're wondering, like, am I too small or am I too big? So the reason I decided to do this video is because I was looking at my past pictures, and I do this because I'm vain, and I realized that something that was common from these past pictures is that at every point I always felt that there was something I needed to correct. There was some insecurity around my body. Now when I look back at those pictures, I'm like, Susan, what were you thinking? Like, you were fine, you were fantastic, you were amazing, you were mind-blowing. Like, why was I feeling insecure at those points in my life? And that is really what inspired me to do this video, because I think I just came to the realization that a lot of us, especially as young women, young girls, and feel a lot of insecurity around how we look. And sometimes, yeah, it is our fault. We need to do a lot of self-talk, a lot of reprogramming of our minds, but there are also other things that are huge factors in us feeling this way. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Susan. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, how is it going? If you're not new here, you might notice that this is not my usual location. I am not filming from home today. I'm somewhere in Washington, DC. I decided to take a break. I was here for a while for a conference and I just ended up staying over for a few more days after. One of the big reasons that we can't deny, honestly, and a lot of you might have not really noticed, or maybe you have, is the fact that the fashion sizing is a bit crazy these days, like, to say the least. You go to a store, you're a medium in that store. You go to another store and you are an extra large or you're a 2XL and you're like, what is going on? Now I understand for some Asian stores, right? Because Asians are a lot smaller than other people in the world in general, so their sizing is a bit different. But you are in an American store, you are in like a Canadian store, a Western store, and you see that this sizing is not descriptive of the actual sizing of people. Like, you're seeing a medium and it's like, there is no medium person that's going to fit into this dress. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. What are we really doing?
Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Zara sizing. Don't mind what's going on here. I just got home from work and I'm packing for a trip tomorrow, and I got this top yesterday that I thought was going to be so cute on, but like, this is a medium. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a medium, but I'm 5'6", like 130 pounds. I wear a size like 26, waist and jeans. Like, I'm certainly not a large. I think it'll button if I really push it, but this is work. This shouldn't be this way. And places like Zara are where I have crazies in my brain.
Why does a medium-sized dress look like this? And I think it is intentional. A lot of fashion stores actually manipulate the numbers of their sizing. It's also creating kind of this emotional roller coaster in people that are purchasing these clothes, consuming this product, and feeling insecure about their bodies. If you know that these are the people that fall within this medium size in your environment, wherever your brand is located, why are you creating clothes that are not medium sized or that are not small sized? So I think another trap we fall into is the comparison trap. You take a picture alone, you feel fantastic, but then you take a picture with some smaller people and you feel out of place. You feel like you're the biggest. And I think online it's even worse. Like on social media it's worse, where you now have these influencers that tell you, hey, this is a good way to look at 5'6" or a good way to look at 5'5". But the problem is, even though this is a good way to have a mental picture of an ideal look for your height, it is not altogether a healthy way to go about your weight loss journey or whatnot. At the end of the day, you're still comparing your body against someone else, right? And you looking like that person does not necessarily mean that you're healthy. It doesn't mean that is how exactly you're supposed to look for your own body type. So I think that we also fall into this trap where there are also people that are influencing people to look a particular way on social media because they're fitness influencers, and so they feel like they can help you to achieve a particular mental goal, not necessarily a health goal, a mental goal, a visual goal, how you want to look. People are pursuing or following these fitness influencers and feeling like if they don't look exactly like them, then they've not achieved their look yet, they are not where they should be, and they feel insecure because of that. Okay, so this is probably where I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but the truth is fashion industries are not going to make money if we feel secure. I said it. It's just facts. They are not going to make money if you and I feel secure about ourselves. Now, I know some people might say, oh, it's not an insecurity if you just want to look good for yourself. And I agree, 100%, I agree with that. But for some other people, that's not the case. So when we invest into buying things like shapewear, into working out and looking so good until we have a thigh gap, we don't have double chins and all of that stuff that is presented to us as problems, which, for example, I never knew that those things were problems until social media. I mean, it's good to look healthy and look fit, but I mean, it's not necessarily bad if you don't have a thigh gap. That is the beauty standard that we are beginning to see. These are all the things that I definitely think that the fashion industry is also feeding into, where because of our insecurities, they are making money. And really, if everybody woke up tomorrow and we felt like we are the perfect size and there's nothing you can tell us, half of capitalism is going to collapse and a lot of these fashion brands will not actually make any money from us. So there's that to also consider. Some of these brands actually create a solution to a problem that we did not even know existed. There's schemes, that stuff that is supposed to hold your face. I'll probably put a picture here. It's like a facelift or something where you tie something on your face so that your face doesn't look puffy, so it's supposed to like slim out your face. When these brands push stuff like this that we did not even know was a problem, then we start to pick our bodies apart and feel like there's actually something wrong when there might not be something wrong. And again, these are ever-changing beauty standards, right? Last year, what was trending or what was supposed to be the ideal is probably not the ideal right now. So there's actually a brain thing that is behind us feeling this way, feeling too small or feeling too big. And it is called the self-discrepancy. It is when there are negative emotions that develop as a result of the difference or the gap in what you currently look like, what your ideal is, and what you feel like you should look like right now. For example, maybe you're like on a weight loss journey, right? And you are 250 pounds and you feel like your ideal should be 120 pounds. You feel like you should currently be at like 190 pounds. There's like a large gap in between those visions of yourself. So there's a negative emotion that sometimes occurs in our brain when we don't feel like we are at those particular points that we should be, or like our aspirations for how we should look. And sometimes those things are in your head and you feel like people are actually paying attention to you when they see you. You feel like you step into a place and all people are thinking about is how big you look. And the reality is that a lot of people are actually concerned more about themselves. Like nobody's probably thinking about you. A lot of people are more concerned on how they look as well. They are more self-focused, self-absorbed. More often than not, people are not actually thinking about you as much as you think. To be clear, I'm not saying that we should totally ignore those aspirations that we have. If you have like a goal to be at a particular weight for your health, that is great. Even if it's not for your health, if it's what you want, is what you want, and you don't have to feel ashamed because of it. What I'm essentially trying to say in the context of, you know, the psychology part of this is that even though we have like an aspiration of how we want to look, right, we should not be so obsessed with chasing, fixing an insecurity, right? Because you notice that when that becomes all you think about, that you can't like live, you can't breathe, you can't do anything without thinking about how you need to fix this insecurity, it doesn't end there. Like even when this one gets fixed, you have another insecurity, even though this is kind of, you know, not necessarily related to weight loss and whatnot. I feel like that's why a lot of people that don't feel comfortable about how their face looks, how their nose looks and stuff like that, when they do these surgeries, which I personally, again, I am not against anybody doing surgery to correct a particular look, but I feel like the problem with things like this is it never ends there. A lot of people, especially celebrities that have done these surgeries, have done a ton more surgeries after the first one. You find something is probably wrong with your eyelid, it needs to be raised a bit more. Something is wrong with your lip, they're too tiny, it needs to be filled. Like there's always something to change, and that's why I feel like if this is something that you are hyper focused on, it never ends at one. You would always have like one more insecurity come. When you fix it, you have one more insecurity come, and it just becomes you being hyper focused on your insecurities as opposed to every other good thing in life, your family, like other things you should enjoy. One of the questions that I would ask myself if I ever have this feeling of being too small or being too big is, what standards am I measuring how I feel right now against? Like if you feel too small, ask yourself, By whose standards? Are you at a healthy weight? Are you comfortable with how you look? And if you're not comfortable, why don't you feel comfortable with how you look? Are you comparing yourself against the people that you see on social media that you don't know how they live their lives or why they look like that? Or are you comparing yourself against what you believe you want to look like? Whether it's for health reasons or your personal vanity, I don't care. But like, I would make sure I'm being honest with myself about what standards I am comparing, how I think I should look by. Again, it's very important to realize that beauty standards are typically trendy. In the past, how many years ago, the trendy beauty standards was having hips, having tiny waist, and looking all like curvy and stuff like that. But a lot of people that looked that way 5-6 years ago have gone to, reverse those things. They've gone to reverse their BBLs. They've gone to take out their fillers and stuff. So these trends just keep going and changing over time. And if you keep comparing yourself to beauty standards that never stop changing, it would only keep you miserable. You would never find fulfillment in how you look because there is no permanent standard. So yeah, I think it's definitely important to stay healthy for the sake of your mind, for the sake of your confidence. But obsessing over whether you're too big or too small is a game you'll never win if you don't actually constantly make sure that you have like a baseline on what determines how you feel about how you look. If not, you just keep obsessing over the wrong things and keep being insecure and just being sad in general. This is what I think about this. My thoughts are a little bit all over the place today. Maybe because I'm in a different location, I don't know, but I would like to hear what you guys think about this. Why we feel the way that we feel about our bodies. Why do we feel too big or too small, even though sometimes we are not actually too big or too small. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video. Bye.